I'll be back Monday evening, don't wait up. My name is Joshua. I'm 35, work construction management for North Peak Engineering, and I've been married to Vanessa for 8 years. She kissed my cheek that Friday morning like she always did before her girls' weekends. Same routine, same bright smile, same overnight bag packed with hiking boots and camping gear. Something felt different this time, though I couldn't place it. Maybe it was the way she avoided eye contact when she mentioned the campground, or how she'd been extra careful with her phone lately, taking it to the bathroom, sleeping with it face down. Little things that gnawed at me but seemed too small to mention. Have fun with the girls, I said, watching her load the car. Take pictures. She laughed. You know how Jessica hates cameras when we're all sweaty and gross from hiking. Right. Jessica, along with Meredith and Claire. The same 3 friends she'd been camping with twice a month for the past 6 months. I used to think it was great that she had found her outdoor group after years of complaining about being cooped up inside. Vanessa had never shown interest in camping before our marriage, but people change. At least that's what I told myself. I waved from the porch as she drove away in her Honda, camping gear stacked in the back seat. The house felt too quiet after she left. I tried to focus on the Cardinals game, but my mind kept drifting. When had she started caring about nature photography? When had she bought those expensive hiking boots? I'd never seen her wear them around town. Saturday morning, I worked in the garage, organizing tools and trying to shake the strange feeling in my chest. Vanessa had texted once. Beautiful morning, about to hit the trails. No picture, though she usually sent dozens of sunset photos from these trips. I told myself I was being paranoid. Marriage required trust. She'd earned mine over 8 years. But trust doesn't explain why she'd started doing laundry separately, or why her camping clothes never smelled like campfire smoke, or why she'd gotten a second cell phone last month for work emergencies that never seemed to involve actual work calls. I was cleaning spark plugs when my phone rang. Joe Patterson, my buddy from the concrete crew. Josh, we need to meet right away. The tone in his voice made my hands stop moving. Joe wasn't dramatic. 30 years of construction work had taught him to speak plainly about serious things. What's wrong? My buddy Samuel has been posting pictures on Facebook and your wife is all over them. I'll send you the link right now. I set down the wrench. Interesting. I met Vanessa at a hardware store 9 years ago. She was trying to fix a leaky faucet in her apartment, completely lost in the plumbing section. I helped her find the right washers and she bought me coffee afterward. She was 24 then, working as a dental hygienist, saving money for nursing school. I was 26, already running small construction projects and dreaming about starting my own contracting business. We built something real together. I supported her through nursing school while she kept our apartment organized and our finances straight. When I finally saved enough to buy this house in Overland Park, she picked out every piece of furniture. We painted every room ourselves, working late into the evening with music playing and pizza boxes stacked on the floor. She was different then. Honest. Direct. When she didn't like something, she said so. When she wanted something, she asked for it. The woman who kissed me goodbye yesterday felt like a stranger wearing Vanessa's face. The camping trip started after her cousin Jessica moved back from Colorado last winter. Jessica had always been the outdoorsy type, posting mountain photos and trail maps on social media. When she suggested a girls' camping weekend, Vanessa seemed excited about trying something new. I thought it was healthy. She'd been restless lately, complaining about routine and wanting adventure. The first few trips seemed normal. She came home tired and happy, showing me photos of campfires and hiking trails. She talked about feeling connected to nature, about needing time away from screens and schedules. I supported it. Everyone needs hobbies. But things started shifting around the 4th trip. She became secretive about the details. When I asked about specific campgrounds or hiking routes, she gave vague answers. Oh, just some trails Jessica found. She stopped showing me pictures. She started showering immediately when she got home, before even unpacking her bag. Then there was her phone behavior. Vanessa had never been possessive about her cell phone. We'd share them freely, using whoever's was closest when we needed to look something up or make a call. Suddenly she was protective about it. Password protected. always face down, taking it with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. I started noticing her camping gear never looked used. The boots stayed pristine. The sleeping bag never needed washing. When I mentioned it, she laughed and said Jessica was obsessive about keeping equipment clean. The second phone appeared 3 weeks ago. Work requirement, she explained. The dental office needs us to have dedicated emergency contacts. But I never heard it ring. She never answered work calls on it. It just sat in her purse, silent and mysterious. I wanted to trust her. Marriage means believing in each other. But evidence was piling up like storm clouds. Joe's Facebook link loaded slowly on my phone screen. Then I saw her. Vanessa wasn't camping with Jessica, Meredith, and Claire. She was at a lakeside cabin with Samuel Morrison, a guy I recognized from Joe's construction crew. They weren't hiking trails or roasting marshmallows around a campfire. They were sharing wine on a deck overlooking the water. They were kissing in front of a sunset. They were holding hands while walking along a private beach. Photo after photo showed my wife of 8 years living a completely different life. Samuel had tagged the location, Romantic Weekend at Lake Ozark. The timestamps showed Friday evening through Sunday morning. While I sat at home watching baseball and organizing tools, Vanessa was playing house with another man. I scrolled through more pictures. Samuel's arm around her waist, Vanessa laughing at something he whispered in her ear, both of them cooking breakfast in the cabin kitchen, looking comfortable and domestic. She was wearing the expensive hiking boots I'd questioned, but there were no hiking trails in sight. Just a luxury cabin rental and 2 people who clearly weren't strangers. The worst part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was how calculated everything had been. She'd built an entire fictional story around these trips, created fake group chats with Jessica, Meredith, and Claire that she'd show me occasionally, bought camping gear she never used, perfected the performance of an exhausted hiker returning from weekend adventures. I sat in my garage for an hour, staring at the pictures. My hands weren't shaking. I wasn't crying or raging or throwing tools against the wall. I felt something colder than anger, something more useful. Clarity. This wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. This was a woman who'd been systematically lying to me for months, someone who could kiss me goodbye, look me in the eye, and spin elaborate stories about camping trips while planning romantic getaways with another man. Someone who'd turned our marriage into a performance she maintained between affairs. I screenshot every photo Samuel had posted. I saved the timestamps and location data. I made note of the dates, cross-referencing them with Vanessa's camping schedule. Perfect correlation. Every girl's weekend had been a romantic weekend with Samuel. Then I started thinking practically. Legal documentation, changed locks, divorce attorney. I had 36 hours before Vanessa returned home, expecting to slip back into her double life seamlessly. She'd gotten sloppy, relying on Samuel's social media vanity to document their affair. In a few days, those romantic photos would become evidence in divorce court. The same pictures meant to show off their relationship would destroy 2 marriages and end her credibility permanently. I walked into the house and opened my laptop. Time to do some research about divorce law in Kansas. Time to make some phone calls. Time to prepare for Vanessa's final camping trip. She'd taught me something valuable about deception. Now I'd show her what honesty looked like. Sunday afternoon, I drove to Jessica's apartment complex. If Vanessa was going to maintain this charade, I needed to understand exactly how deep the lies went. Jessica lived 20 minutes away in a converted warehouse that housed artists and young professionals. I'd been there twice for birthday parties. She answered the door in paint-stained clothes, looking surprised to see me. "Josh, is everything okay? Is Vanessa all right?" "She's fine. Just wanted to ask you about the camping trips." Jessica's confusion looked genuine. "Camping trips?" "The girls' weekends you've been organizing. Twice a month for the past 6 months." She stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "Josh, I haven't been camping since I was 12 years old. I hate bugs, and I don't even own a sleeping bag." The confirmation hit me like cold water. "Vanessa's been telling me she goes camping with you, Meredith, and Claire every other weekend." Jessica's face went pale. "That's not possible." Meredith moved to Seattle in January for her job. And Claire, she's been in physical therapy after her car accident. She can barely walk to her mailbox, let alone go hiking. We stood there for a moment, both processing the scope of Vanessa's deception. She hadn't just lied about where she was going. She'd constructed an entire fictional social circle to cover her tracks. "How long has she been telling you this?" Jessica asked. 6 months. 6 months. She shook her head. "Josh, I've seen Vanessa maybe 3 times since I moved back. Once at Christmas, once at the grocery store, and once when she called asking if she could use my name for something. I thought it was weird, but she said it was for a surprise party or something." The surprise party. Now it made sense. Vanessa had asked Jessica's permission to use her name as cover for an affair. I drove home feeling like I was seeing our marriage clearly for the first time. This wasn't about Samuel or romantic weekends or even infidelity. This was about living with someone who could construct elaborate fictional narratives without blinking. Someone who'd involved innocent friends as unwitting alibis for her double life. Back home, I called Harrison Wells, the divorce attorney who'd handled my brother's separation 2 years ago. Sunday evening wasn't ideal for legal consultations, but Harrison had always told me to call if I needed help. "I need to file for divorce," I said. "I have photo evidence of adultery and systematic deception." "How recent is the evidence?" "This weekend. The other man posted everything on Facebook." Harrison was quiet for a moment. "That's either incredibly stupid or incredibly arrogant." "Both, I think." "Can you be in my office tomorrow morning at 8? Bring everything you have. Screenshots, dates, financial records. If she's been lying about her whereabouts for 6 months, we need to look at credit card statements and bank records too." After hanging up, I spent the evening documenting everything. Vanessa's camping equipment purchase dates, her new phone activation, the correlation between her trip schedules and Samuel's social media posts, credit card charges that didn't match her camping stories, hotel bookings instead of campground fees. The evidence painted a picture of meticulous deception. She'd been planning these affairs with the same attention to detail she brought to organizing our household finances. Every lie had been calculated. Every story had been rehearsed. Monday morning arrived gray and cold. I met Harrison at his office, spreading printouts across his conference table like a detective presenting a case. "This is thorough," he said, reviewing the timeline. "She's been systematic about this." "What happens next?" "We file immediately. Kansas allows no-fault divorce, but adultery can affect asset division. With this level of evidence, she won't have much leverage to negotiate." I signed the papers at 10 a.m. By noon, Harrison had contacted a locksmith to change the house locks legally. By 2 p.m., I was boxing up Vanessa's belongings. Everything from her clothes to her expensive hiking boots that had never touched a trail. She was coming home to a different world than the one she'd left. While packing Vanessa's things, I discovered more than I'd bargained for. Hidden in her jewelry box, underneath earrings I'd bought for our anniversary, was a second set of house keys I didn't recognize. Behind her winter coats in the closet, I found a small suitcase I'd never seen before, packed with lingerie and perfume that never came out during our romantic evenings. Her laptop was password protected now, but she'd left it logged into her email when she rushed out Friday morning. I know it was wrong to look, but I needed to understand the full scope of what I was dealing with. The emails told a story that made Samuel's Facebook photos look innocent. The affair had been going on for 8 months, not 6. It started before the camping trips began. Samuel wasn't even the first one. There were email threads with 2 other men, carefully scheduled around different fictional activities. A book club that didn't exist, a yoga class that wasn't real, a volunteer position at an animal shelter that turned out to be Tuesday afternoon meetings at a hotel downtown. The most disturbing discovery was how organized she'd been. Spreadsheets tracking her lies, contact information for the men she was seeing, even backup alibis in case primary stories fell through. She'd approached infidelity like a business project, complete with scheduling and contingency planning. One email thread particularly caught my attention. Samuel had been pressuring her to leave me for months. "When are you going to tell Josh?" he'd written in March. "I'm tired of sharing you." Her response chilled me. Josh is useful right now. He pays the mortgage and handles all the boring stuff. When I'm ready to move on, I'll figure out how to take half of everything he's built. I printed those emails. Then I kept digging. Bank statements showed cash withdrawals that matched her affair schedule, credit card charges at restaurants I'd never been to, on nights when she claimed to be homesick, hotel bookings under her maiden name. Even a joint checking account I didn't know about opened with Samuel 3 months ago. She hadn't just been cheating. She'd been preparing to financially devastate me while maintaining the pretense of a loving marriage. The woman who'd helped me pick out furniture and paint our walls had been systematically planning my destruction. My phone rang. Joe again. Samuel took down his Facebook posts, he said. Probably realized what he'd done. Too late, I have screenshots of everything. There's something else, Josh. Samuel's married too. His wife called me an hour ago, crying. Apparently she saw the photos before he deleted them. Another marriage destroyed. Another family torn apart by Vanessa and Samuel's selfishness. At least Samuel's wife wouldn't have to wonder what was real and what was performance. The photos had given her the same gift of clarity they'd given me. She wants to know if you'd be willing to talk to her attorney, Joe continued. Apparently Samuel's been lying about business trips for months too. I agreed to coordinate with Samuel's wife through our lawyers. 2 divorces filed simultaneously, both citing the same evidence. Samuel and Vanessa had been so focused on their romantic documentation that they'd created a paper trail leading straight to family court. I finished packing Vanessa's belongings as the afternoon sun slanted through our bedroom windows. Our bedroom, soon to be just my bedroom again. I felt relief instead of sadness. Living with someone who could compartmentalize deception so completely had been slowly poisoning me without my realizing it. She'd taught me that trust isn't just about believing someone. It's about being worthy of belief yourself. I'd been both trusting and trustworthy. She'd been neither. I arranged Vanessa's belongings on the front porch Monday afternoon. Suitcases, boxes, and garbage bags containing 8 years of shared life, organized neatly beside the steps. The expensive hiking boots sat on top of the largest suitcase, still spotless after their fictional camping adventures. Harrison had advised me to document everything for legal purposes, so I photographed the packed belongings from multiple angles. Evidence that I'd treated her possessions respectfully, despite having every reason to throw them in a dumpster. The locksmith finished his work at 4 p.m. New deadbolts, new knobs, new security system codes. The house felt different already. Lighter somehow. Like a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying had been lifted from the foundation itself. I called Jessica to let her know what I'd discovered about her unwitting role in Vanessa's deception. I feel sick, she said. She used my friendship to cover up destroying your marriage. It's not your fault, you couldn't have known. Still, I should have questioned why she was asking permission to use my name for things. That's not normal behavior. I also called my brother Daniel to give him a heads up about what was coming. Daniel had gone through his own messy divorce and understood the emotional complexity of ending a marriage, even when ending it was the right choice. You sound remarkably calm, he said. I feel calm. For the first time in months, actually. I've been living with someone who was essentially a stranger and I didn't even realize it. At 5 p.m., I made one final call to Harrison, confirming that everything was legally proper. Vanessa would be served with divorce papers simultaneously when she arrived home. No ambiguity about my intentions. No room for negotiation or manipulation. Samuel's wife, Patricia, had contacted Harrison's office that afternoon. She'd filed for divorce 3 hours after I did, using the same Facebook evidence. Samuel's romantic documentation had destroyed 2 marriages in a single day. His need to publicly celebrate his affair had become the instrument of his own destruction. I spent the evening in the kitchen making a simple dinner and thinking about the future. 8 years of marriage were ending, but I felt hopeful rather than devastated. I'd built this house and this life believing I was sharing them with someone who valued what we'd created together. Learning that she'd been systematically planning to destroy everything we'd built was devastating, but it also simplified my choices going forward. Around 9 p.m. I received a text from an unknown number. Josh, this is Patricia, Samuel's wife. Thank you for agreeing to coordinate our legal approach. I'm sorry we're both going through this. I responded, We'll get through it. At least we know the truth now. She replied, That's exactly what my lawyer said. The truth is painful, but lies are worse. I set my phone aside and sat in the living room Vanessa and I had painted together 3 years ago. Tomorrow, she'd return expecting to slip back into her double life seamlessly. She'd find divorce papers instead of welcome home kisses. Her belongings on the porch instead of in the closet. Changed locks instead of an unsuspecting husband. The house was quiet, but it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt honest. For the first time in months, every object in every room contained only what was real. No hidden deceptions, no performance, no lies dressed up as love. Vanessa had taught me that some people can live comfortably with elaborate deception, but I'd learned that I couldn't live comfortably with someone who could do that. Tomorrow would be difficult, but it would also be the first day of the rest of my honest life. Vanessa's Honda pulled into the driveway at 6 p.m. Monday evening. I watched through the window as she sat in the car for a moment, probably checking her phone messages and preparing her camping trip stories. She looked relaxed, happy even, ready to slip back into her performance. She stepped out of the car with her fake camping gear and walked toward the front door, then stopped. Her belongings covered the porch like a yard sale spread across our steps. Suitcases, boxes, garbage bags full of clothes, all organized neatly beside her pristine hiking boots. What the hell is this? I opened the door, holding the divorce papers in one hand and my phone displaying Samuel's Facebook photos in the other. Your camping trip looked very cozy with Samuel. Her face went through a series of expressions I'd never seen before. Confusion, then recognition, then panic. She reached for the door handle. The locks have been changed, I said. Josh, I can explain everything. Those pictures don't show what you think. I held up the printed Facebook photos. Samuel's arm around her waist at the lakeside cabin, both of them sharing wine on the deck, her laughing at something he'd whispered in her ear. Lake Ozark, not exactly a campground. She stared at the photos like they were written in a foreign language. How did you get these? Samuel posted them on Facebook. 47 pictures of your romantic weekend. I handed her the divorce papers. You've been served. Adultery with photographic evidence. Her hands shook as she read the legal documents. You can't do this. We can work through this. Jessica sends her regards. She was surprised to learn about all the camping trips you've been taking together, especially since she hasn't been camping since she was 12 years old. Vanessa's face went white. The web of lies was unraveling in real time. Samuel's wife filed for divorce today, too. Same evidence. The next 6 months brought consequences that reached far beyond our marriage. Samuel's construction company fired him when his affair became public knowledge, citing moral character clauses in his employment contract. Vanessa lost her position at the dental office when patients started gossiping about her marital drama, making the workplace uncomfortable for everyone. The divorce settlement favored me heavily. Kansas courts don't look kindly on systematic deception and adultery, especially when the evidence is so thoroughly documented. Vanessa received minimal assets and had to find her own housing immediately, since she couldn't afford the mortgage on our house alone. Samuel and Vanessa's relationship didn't survive the public scrutiny. When their affair was no longer secret and exciting, they discovered they had little in common beyond mutual selfishness. Samuel moved back in with his parents after Patricia took half of everything in their divorce. Vanessa found herself alone in a small apartment, working part-time at a clinic across town where nobody knew her history. The most poetic justice came from social media itself. Samuel's Facebook photos, meant to celebrate their romance, became evidence that destroyed both their marriages and reputations. Their friends and family saw exactly what they'd been doing while maintaining facades of happy marriages. The digital trail they'd created for validation became the instrument of their social exile. I kept the house, rebuilt my savings, and started dating again after a year. Meeting honest women reminded me what authentic relationships felt like. No performances, no elaborate lies, no double lives hidden behind fictional camping trips. Patricia and I became friends through our shared experience. She remarried 2 years later to a man who actually enjoyed outdoor activities. I learned that some people can construct entire false realities without losing sleep. But discovering their capacity for deception was ultimately liberating rather than devastating. Trust, I realized, isn't just about believing in someone else. It's about knowing you deserve honesty in return.